Hello, I'm Mike Wilson and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers from the Indiana State House in downtown Indianapolis. Officials and lawmakers from across the state are joining us throughout this year's legislative session for a discussion on a pretty broad range of important topics. And joining me right now, Senator Mark Stoops. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So, I don't think there's a bad time of the year to visit any of our state parks, go see some of the, woods, the state forests. There's all kinds of awesome nature that Indiana has to offer. You're actually working on a bill right now, right?
That's right. Even stuff that's going on in the winter. And right now, what's going on in the winter in Yellowwood State Forest is logging. So I have a bill that would require the Division of Forestry of DNR to do a cost-benefit analysis of logging in the state forest to, how much money do you spend? How much money does it cost to repair the roads and bridges after a logging operation? But I also have one that was asking for set-aside within state forests. So we have parts of our state forests are starting to get old. We have some areas in my district and in neighboring districts that are, they're called backcountry areas. They were set aside by Governor Bowen, I believe. And they are getting to an age where the average tree is 120 years old, for instance. They're getting a lot of natural diversity, and unfortunately our Division of Forestry decided that they were going to cut specifically those areas that are in that backcountry. So we've had in the legislature, at least for 5 years now, bills that have been trying to set aside parts of the state forest to protect them so that they can get to an older growth status, a little bit more like what you would see in the state when you first got here. We don't have many areas of the state that are like that. Unfortunately, those areas were the ones that were targeted for logging. So we've kind of been trying to work with the governor, trying to work with Department of Natural Resources to protect those areas. But what's happened is, we had 200 scientists that sent a letter to the governor and said, don't cut those areas, they're kind of special. They're very diverse compared to what else we have in the state and really in the country. There's special areas that we ought to set aside and, if anything, advertise, because they are that special. We've had nationally renowned scientists that said, well, don't cut those ash trees. They were infected with the emerald ash borer, but they recovered, and we don't know why. We want to
figure that out, right?
We want to figure that out and find out what's special about these trees. But instead, those are actually trees that were set to be cut, and I believe they are being cut right now. We had a nationally recognized scientist that said, we have some animals in this forest which are really unusual for Indiana. They're in this tract, XYZ tract. Don't cut that tract. We want to see what's going on there. And boom, that's a tract that gets set aside for logging. Same with amphibians. It's like, oh, we have these rare amphibians over here. Don't log that area, and it just gets set aside for logging. So we don't know why these areas are being targeted, but I think, and I don't know why Governor Holcomb is backing the DNR on this. He's kind of allowing them to make the decision. But it seems to me that we're not really paying attention to some experts that aren't just forestry experts, who are creating a timber industry. These are experts that look at the whole forest and are finding interesting things in our state.
Yeah, well, that is interesting. Thanks for sharing that with us too.
Yeah.
That's a good viewpoint to have.
Yeah.
And for more great conversations with leaders in our community, please visit ComcastNewsmakers.com.